If you've ever wanted to learn how to take these corals and frag them up, slice and dice, we're going to show you how to do it today. Jess is on the saw. She's going to take the corals, literally chop them up. We're going to glue them onto these frag plugs, and then we're going to acclimate them back into the tank. Stay tuned. Listen, welcome everybody. Hey. Waterbox live. Wednesday, favorite day of the week.
Yep. Now 6 p.m. every Wednesday.
Man, what a show do we have for you today?
Yes.
A lot of people ask this question, Jess, and they say, how do I frag? What is fragging?
What is a frag?
What is a frag? What is this whole thing? Like, you guys are talking this crazy lingo. Mm-hmm. We're going to show everybody today actually how to cut corals live.
Yeah, I don't think this is really ever done, so we're going for live fragging today. Yeah. And let's see what happens. That's good.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
So definitely if you have comments and questions, I know you have lots of them. Rich is going to be monitoring both YouTube and Facebook simultaneously to get those questions answered for you.
I want to precursor with it. I have a lot of experience with fragging, so don't worry. Like, we're not just like randomly throwing me to the wolves to like in front of a coral saw. So I've done this many years. So
another thing to note is I am going to be taking your questions. Try to keep them related to aquaculture, fragging, things of that nature. Yeah. I'll try my best to get to all of them.
Yes. No drinking and fragging. Listen, don't do that.
So we
I won't be fragging.
Yes. All right. Rich won't be fragging. So, Keen, do you have the video? So Eye-Catching Corals, so one of our big partners that we hook up with all the time, sent us a box because we told him what we were going to do.
Yeah, so we said, hey, over at Ecotech, we want to do a little fragging show with our new 45.2 frag system that we set up. Send us a variety of corals that we can show different methods of fragging, different types of coral.
Correct.
So they did send us some frag plugs as well, along with multiple types of coral for us to frag.
Yes, so actually these corals were sent to us last week.
Yep.
That we had them tanked and kind of acclimated already. So
right, we didn't want to get them in and then cut them right away. We did want to have a chance to let them settle into the new system and before we started fragging them and cutting them up. So that's just a better way to do it, is always let your coral settle in before you start cutting them up.
Absolutely, and they sent us a nice variety. I asked Ben, I said, Ben, listen, I want to show people different types and different...
Softies, LPS, SPS, just the whole range to give you an idea, if you've never fragged before, how you can do certain types. It's not going to cover everything, but it'll give a pretty good idea.
Correct. So, I mean, the corals, once again, beautiful specimens that they sent us. I mean, everything was quality. And
we've gotten from Eye-Catching plenty of times. They've stocked a lot of stuff in our 6-foot that's right next to the frag.
Yep.
And so we knew that they'd send us good, healthy stuff that they kind of handpicked for us. So you can see the variety there.
So, Jess,
yes.
You mentioned you're not a rookie. Tell these guys about how long you've been doing this and how much time spent.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay. I guess in like the saltwater and aquaculture and fragging, a solid 8-10 years.
Wow.
I've been doing that part of it. And in the coral farm for the store they used to run, I mean, I would cut 1,000 frags in a day. So that's any type, every type, sizes, whatever. So I have a lot of experience. It's actually kind of cool because I haven't been able to do this in a few, in a while.
So this is kind of interesting.
So, back to my roots of what I used to do. So I've been doing this a long time.
That is awesome. So I think we should go straight to the tank.
Let's go cut some coral, man.
Let's chop, slice and dice, as I like to say. Slice and dice.
Slice and dice. How do I carry my drink and the 2 phones?
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Multitasking at its finest.
Guys, definitely share the stream too. Like, comment, give us the thumbs up, the hearts, the whole smiley face, the whole thing.
Show us the love.
Show us some love.
So we're going to be fragging right out here in our lobby, right next to the tank. We have our coral saw set up. We've got our frag plugs. So I'm going to cut the corals. Dean, you're going to glue them onto the frag plugs, get them into the tank. So we're going to have like a little assembly line. And we're going to kind of talk over the different types and why you cut them a certain way.
That's right.
The number one thing is kind of go over saw, frag plugs, and like the basics of that.
Correct. So I want to also preface this. the 45.2 frag system is currently on sale, 10% off. So
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug
All right.
for the Waterbox system. Get them while supplies last. You can have this tank right here. All right, great.
Okay.
So,
Oh my gosh.
how to do it? We have the frag rack in here, right?
Yes.
So we put that in last week, and it's kind of there's hundreds of holes that the frag plugs can sit in, right? We should show people what the frag plug is.
Yes,
first.
so for here, there's two different types of frag plugs. You've got kind of like what are called your peg ones. These are smaller, usually 1-inch standard, and they have the actual peg that go into frag holders. So these are the most commonly seen. And then you're also going to have discs. These are larger. These come in 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and larger. And these are good for bigger ones. Also, if they're going to encrust or you want a small piece to grow out bigger than what this will allow it to. So it's kind of two different choices. Then these are hard. Good things. So,
Eye-catching sent us these, right?
Yes,
Because this
these
is
are
what they
nice.
use. Very nice. The quality is great. There's many different brands on the market of plugs.
there's square ones, there's round ones, there's small. Everyone in every color, every size, every shape is
Absolutely.
out there.
We are also using the Ecotech coral glue.
Yes.
Another shameless plug. High quality. It adheres very quickly to the frag plug.
You know what I
So-
like about that gluteine is it's very thick. It's
Very
not running
thick.
like a lot of the other ones.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there's like basic ones out there, and I've known people like, oh, just use some regular super glue. Very runny.
Yeah.
You want a very thick
Yeah.
gel.
To
So
get it
when
right
you get it
on
on there, it stays on the plug.
Boom.
So, and then for a coral saw, this is a diamond blade bandsaw.
Yeah,
Kind
so
of
that's
like shrunken down.
yeah, that's
for the
it's
coral
very
size.
interesting. You know, so I mean, they do make saws specifically for this.
Yep.
And so you got water, right? It's salt water sitting on the top.
So this is whenever I open the valve, it's going to allow it while I frag for the water to stay on the blade and onto the coral. It's going to keep the blade from getting too hot and burning the coral because it's a lot. It moves really fast. This is a diamond blade. So the one side is diamond, and then you've basically got the water reservoir down here. And it is kind of like your home saw shrunken.
Okay.
For coral.
Kind of like
So-
woodworking, but in a small, compact.
Yeah, and there's a lot
for
of brands of them
aquatics.
out here.
So it can get wet.
Yes, exactly. So you can have
So
water
Jess, you
running to it.
shouldn't use a circular saw.
I guess maybe if it was like a 3-foot coral. I guess you
Like a
could.
sawzall, like a big jigsaw, you know. I mean,
I'm gonna say please don't do that. It's probably not gonna go well for the coral or yourself. And then
And what did you do here also?
Yeah, so we didn't have any like outside frag racks because this is not something we always do. So I just took some sponges and I cut some little X's in them real quick that the plugs go into. So we're like I made this in like 30 seconds earlier.
Very nifty little holder. They
Anything
can
that
kind of
holds them
DIY.
upright
Yeah.
basically is all you needed, and we had some sponges on hand. And it was real super fast. You could use a piece of cardboard or box or something if you wanted, but this will work pretty well.
Wonderful. So let's pick a coral. Let's get started.
First coral we're gonna do on this is because we have SPS, LPS, and softies. Is we're gonna do the acro because it is a more sensitive coral, and you don't want to cut something like that after you've cut soft corals and LPS, which have a lot of slime and possible toxins. Because if you're going to do certain corals in order, you want to start with your hard corals and work towards soft corals.
So if you're
Just heads
cutting
up.
the acro, which is this one right here, you want to cut this one first before you cut any others.
Right, unless you're going to completely clean out the saw and clean out the water involved. If you're switching back and forth, but if you're going to do it in an order like we are now, that one needs to happen first.
Gotcha. All right. So I'm going to hand you this coral. And the corals can be out of water, Jess? Yes, no?
Long time. A lot of corals actually at low tide in the ocean are exposed to the heat and sun for periods of hours. And especially soft corals and stuff like that, they naturally close and slime up. So this one here has basically this water stream, and I can open the valve on that one.
If you guys have any questions while we're live here, post them in the comments. Try to keep them related to aquaculture, fragging.
So this is actually squirting water right onto the blade. And with an acro, these are all hard skeleton. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically just going to cut branches straight across. Wherever you glue them, they're going to sit straight up. So you're going to need like one dab of glue kind of right in the center, and we'll have them stand straight up.
And you also want to make sure that you cut it on a straight angle.
The bottom should be straight so it stays upright.
Right,
because
because if you
flat onto the
if
plug,
you're not, right,
falling
the
over.
coral is leaning.
It's leaning over. So I'm going to kick this on. I'm not going to talk too much whenever I'm doing it. That one. So we kind of test it. So there's one. I just put them there and then you can glue them whenever we're done. Oh. one fell down. So this one here, that one actually.
Gluing it?
Yeah, so go ahead and glue those on for a second.
So I'm taking the glue and I'm literally putting I call it like a dollop, onto the frag plug, and then I'll take the frag and I'll literally just kind of hold it on there, and it sets fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can see that or not. And
Turn it around a little bit so I can see it. Yeah, there you go.
So I'll just take that.
So Adventures in
right into
Reefing
there.
says, do you clean the blade between frags to ensure no cross-contamination? Which you covered that a little bit.
Right, so the acro did that one first for that reason. And then kind of like your soft ones and stuff after that, you can, I usually would go SPS, LPS to softy in order to keep like certain contaminations and slime and stuff like that from here. There we go.
We also have, how do you frag zoos?
Well, we actually have a rack of those that we're going to show. So we have, I'm kind of trying to do like a little
So we have a good mixture
showcase
of corals.
of all of them. Yeah. Trying to get this bottom back on.
And then it holds. It's getting a little sketchy there.
No, hold on. There we go. Thing with this is like the blade can kick off, so it actually kicked off the wheel a little bit, but we got it back on there. So that one there, you can just show those two.
Yeah.
Those can go back in.
Perfect.
Right into the water. So that one's easy because it's just straight skeletal, and it's just making nice looking branches as they stick up.
Okay, and then I'll just take these out, stick them right into the.
What's the
Put 'em right
name, the brand of this saw?
This one is a Studio Pro Precision 2000.
What are some other brands?
The Griffin is a really common
Griffin
one.
saw is the one that I've heard of a lot.
Yeah, the Griffin saw is the one that I've always used before. Our wonderful Jess here actually had this one and was available to bring it in for us to use. So there's a little bit different varieties, and the Griffin is the one that I've used the most.
Brian says, put your glasses on, Jess. Brian, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Jess is a pro, so
hey, I
she
forgot.
Come on now.
Protect the eyeballs.
you know, she's
Get the
been
eyes.
doing this a
Sorry.
long time, so
You were going to be called out.
Safety first, Jess.
she's a cowboy fragger, but that's okay.
Come on
You know,
now.
Living on the edge, guys.
Yeah, she's living on the edge. But
Okay, so that's our
not a
only.
bad idea.
Edge.
That's our only SPS coral that we have. Why don't we do?
A favia?
Yeah, either a Favia or the Acan. Either of those is fine.
Okay.
So we're gonna go the LPS, has a skeleton but some flesh.
There we go.
Show it a little bit on the
Oh.
side.
So that's a nice green type Favia in the brain family, and it's got
You got
individual
that?
eyes. So
Okay.
with a coral like this one, I mean, you kind of attempt to, as much as possible, go around the individual heads. This one here, if you did cut in between, it generally would still be okay. But with these, when they do have a defined eyes or different heads, you want to kind of cut around them as much as possible and keep them in that shape. So same thing, we're going to cut some water on here.
Dude, I know you guys have some questions.
Jess, you got about 140 people watching us, and
Oh,
no
hey.
pressure,
Pressure
at all. This
As long as the saw blade stays in place, we're
We should be
good.
good.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's just keeping it from kicking
is
off.
live.
There
Should I be wearing sunglasses too?
we go. This one. Like this one is kind of a bigger chunk. But what I do is cut down the back so that it is sitting flat whenever you do it. So you're going to cut the extra skeleton off the bottom. And that's just the skeleton, it's not the actual flesh of the coral. That one there. And you got to try and look for where it's going to cut and kind of stay pretty.
Guys, this is some crazy stuff right here.
Go this way. This is a bigger one. I'm going to cut this one into two.
Now watch
So
your
cut them
fingers,
into more
Jess.
individualized. My fingers are fine. And flatten out the bottom.
Me and Dean have been real nervous about this saw, but Jess has no issues.
Man, be honest.
No, I've been very nervous. I'm like, whatever. All right, and then, so we just flatten those 3 out.
Okay. I got one. Okay, I got 4, but that's okay.
That's fine. The glue will stay on the plug for a while.
Okay.
And just to kind of keep from making as much of a mess, I'm gonna turn the water down a little bit.
Angie says, what can you use at home if you don't have a fancy saw?
Don't.
Don't.
Don't use anything.
Don't. I mean, there's a couple things, like if they had really small branches to them, you could probably take some bone cutters, which in like temporary,
Maybe
but
like an
don't.
Aquaculture or something?
Yeah, but you're still gonna just rough it up. Like
Yeah.
honestly, if you're looking to frag stuff down and more than just like on occasion, and you really need to,
Right.
get a coral saw. There's no better way. So these guys, Fabia, they're a little bit bigger chunks. You could technically, if you wanted to go smaller, kind of take them down to individual eyes. But for these, that's really all you need for that, and
That's
that's
it.
the rest of that one.
Brian says, I love you guys. Y'all are exactly what the hobby needed.
Aww.
Thank you, Brian. That's
Well,
awesome.
thank
Thank
you.
Yeah, I love educating, showing people how to do this. I mean, you don't
Yeah,
see
this
this
is-
every day.
This is really good stuff. Keith said, just to remind you that you can't regrow your fingers, Jeff.
Yeah.
So you can't frag your fingers.
Don't.
Everyone's really concerned about Jess's safety. I promise I am good. Yeah. No, actually, we were talking about this earlier because you guys are quite concerned about my fingers as well. Is for a diamond saw blade, the front, where it's the diamond coating,
Yep.
it actually, like the front, you can't really cut yourself. You'd have to try really hard to like slice into your flesh
It's not like
because
a
of it.
serrated saw.
It's
right?
not, and it's diamond coated, which for some, I don't know the science behind it, I don't ask, but you can't really cut your finger. The back of it is where it'd be so. If you ever like were kind of like coming back, you could cut your finger, but going forward, you're very safe.
Yeah.
Unless you had like, a big skill saw.
I'm not
that
saying
you're
you should
using out your
test
garage.
it, but it should be.
Believe me, I've accidentally run my finger into a coral saw many a times, and I still have
my
all
goodness.
of them.
Okay,
so
you want this other Fabia?
Give me
A can?
A can. Because the A can is, so something like this. This is a really nice pink A can, and for these, you are looking at like a lot of times you're paying by the individual head of these guys. And if you can, I don't know if you can zoom in close enough, but you can see each one of these circles here is an actual individual head. And if we're talking about selling coral, if you're selling coral, each of these heads has a dollar value. So when you're cutting them, you don't want to just be chopping them like in the middle and losing
Right.
them. You're selling by head, or you bought this by the head. So we're gonna try and actually cut around each individual one.
So you're saying that like when you go to a retail store,
you buy an A-can, they're like, oh, this is a beautiful Australian A-can.
they're counting that shop owner
This
saying, hey,
is
listen,
such
this is
and such per head.
20 heads on this piece, and it's $10 a head, so you're at
Right.
$200
well,
for that
a lot
piece.
of these nice A-cans, like a pink one, you're talking 45 and up, easy
Wow, per head.
So you cut this and you lose half your heads by cutting it wrong.
Oh, damn.
There's all your money. So,
Jess, I got a great question here.
Yeah.
Chris says no coral dip after cutting the flesh.
well, so generally, yes, I do recommend that you dip your corals in like some kind of antibacterial, Meteor, something like that. For time's sake, we're not doing that right now, but we will go back and dip all these guys. But for doing it here, because they do have to sit in the dip a lot of times for 5 to 10 minutes on a lot
Right.
of them, we don't have time to sequence that through.
Right,
on
right.
This.
So because this is live and not edited,
Right,
you're trying
if
to
it's
speed it up
edited,
just a
we'd
little
show
bit.
the whole
Yep.
dipping
But
process,
that's a great question.
I can
Excellent
take that.
thank
So
you.
all right, so I'm gonna turn the water back on for this
I'm
one.
gonna try to get a little bit closer here.
Yeah,
Sorry
and
about
it's,
the
I mean, they do get kind of gooey and all funky looking when you're cutting them, so it's kind of hard to tell. But you can see I'm gonna aim for going through the individual heads and cut them as
All right.
precise as
Slice
possible.
and dice.
Slice and dice. It does get harder to kind of navigate as it gets cut, but you just have to kind of be able to see where your eyes are. And it does take precision on how much pressure you're putting through, so you kind of learn as you've been doing it. Works hard. So for this piece here, I've actually cut it to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 main heads. You can cut those down to almost singles now. So that one went down to 2. And down to singles.
Wow.
And then take the base. You can't cut too close to the front because the body and like the organs almost of the coral do go into the skeleton, and you would kill it if you cut it too short. So there's like one single eye.
So it is sliming up, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's like the protective measure of the coral.
There's another single. And then I can take this one. So this is one that you do have to be precise about. Got another single. And this one we'll keep as it's like a double with some babies. And then this one has kind of a couple with some babies on it.
Got a few people here that are going to be joining us for MACNA this weekend.
Hey!
We will see everybody at MACNA.
And then that's the rest of it. And you can cut that down completely, but we're not doing that for time restraints.
Now, I guess somebody might ask, Jess, I know it's a crazy question, but you know, is the coral being hurt? Are you hurting the coral by
I don't know.
you know, like, I mean, it doesn't have feelings, right? But
I don't think it has feelings. I mean, technically you could hurt it by not doing it properly and you kill it.
yeah, I would say
I mean,
so,
that
right.
would be like one way that you're hurting it. I don't know if you necessarily can hurt a coral.
Do you guys have leather corals that you're going to be fragging?
No. Okay, leather corals are a whole different ballgame of fragging because you have to cut them and basically sew them down to something with thread and needle. And it is very labor intensive, gross, and time consuming. So it's one that we are going to skip just by simplicity of it. So you're going to see these guys are all going to slime up. You do want to make sure that, you know, good flow on them as they get situated, kind of blow them off. And just keep an eye on them. This is another reason why coral dip is a good idea because it gives them a chance to slime and recover a little bit. Let's do the Chalice because it's an LPS too. So the pink one behind the green Fabia. So this is a Chalice.
You got that? Okay.
These are pretty nice. If it was a like, well, there are some rare chalices out there that are done by like an eye for $1,000. This one is a little bit more basic, but their eyes are a little bit harder to see. So this one kind of a little bit bigger chunks, but generally like the raised ridges. And here, those are all eyes. But a lot of times you can just take this, and what we'll do is we'll use the larger disc for these.
Okay.
And just cut this into some bigger chunks of Chalice, and not go as small pieces. So we'll use the big disc for that to let them grow out.
Okay.
But these are a little bit more nonchalant unless you have like one of those chalices that the value is super high per inch, then you would be really precise per eye. All right, get our water going again. And you can see this does make a mess. All right.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, so this one's super easy. I'm just gonna kind of cut. There's like one eye that I can tell that's right here. So I'll cut him off to his own little chunk. Try to make it sit flat on the bottom.
I think that's key to this whole thing is the flat bottom, right?
If you don't, if you don't cut the bottom flat, it's not going to stay on the plug very easy.
So you have to glue, but this frag here, see how she cut that back side of it straight so that when it sits on that plug, it's going to go flat.
It's one of those things after doing it for a long time, figuring out how to cut them to make them sit flat. So this one here has two flat spots, but it's raised in the middle. So on a plug like this, you would put like a dab of glue here and a dab of glue here, and it would sit and hold. If you put it in the middle, it would be hard for it to catch.
Ooh, we can get into the fragging business. Maybe
All right,
not.
and then one more big chunk. Leave that to the professionals.
Yeah, leave that to the professionals.
Leave that to professionals. We just think it's cool to show you kind of how this process works because a lot of people go to their stores and stuff and they just see the frags exist.
Yeah.
I don't really know like how
They
it
didn't
happens
just
from
get
there.
there.
Yeah, no, a lot
Somebody
of work
manually
and time.
did this.
And then you figure these corals, once they go in, it's going to take them weeks or months to grow enough to then sell them as like a healed, healthy frag. You're not just
Absolutely.
getting them. So these can go in. There's the rest of your colony.
Bam. Wow. How great, guys. This is, listen, and they go perfect inside your Waterbox 45.2.
Frag.
Which just so happens to be on
Just so
sale.
happens to be on sale. 10% off.
If you want to know where we got this frag rack, you can head over to
Zen Reef.
Zen Reef.
Yes. We should do Duncan's next.
Duncans, yeah.
Duncans. Duncans are really cool. They're one of my favorite corals, and super easy to frag as well. So
There you go, Ken.
these are your Duncans. We have a huge colony in our 6-foot dream build right next to this. And this is a branching Duncan. There are ones that are like closer together, which are a little bit harder to frag, but this one is a branching one, so it's actually gonna be really easy. With this one here, all I'm gonna do is basically cut down like 3/4 of an inch to an inch from the polyp, because it does have its internals that kind of go down a bit. If you cut really short here, you're gonna probably kill it. So go down here, and you can basically just branch off each head. Cool thing is, a lot of times I've seen these when you cut them here, and you put them back in your tank, a new head actually is developed from there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've actually seen
That's
it like
cool.
regrow a lot. So this one's super easy. They're going to use tiny plugs for here for just individual heads.
Tiny plugs, come
Tiny
on.
plugs. So this is
Steve
a fast,
says-
easy one.
Steve's asking, why not put the glue directly on the coral frag itself?
It's a lot easier and less messy to put it on the plug and have it ready, and then you can just put it on there. If you're now holding your slimy frag with your other hand, then trying to put glue on
it's
it
gonna be
and then
dripping
do
all
it.
over the place.
More steps involved, and this is a lot easier when they have them all set and a nice little thing. So you can definitely do it either way. So just cut the bottom flat. I'm just gonna sit right on a frag plug. Super easy, just like that.
So, good question here. Brian says, is there any way that supporters of Waterbox brand can help to promote your company? So the answer is yes, Brian. If you head over to our website, at the bottom of the,
Just like that.
Just like that.
And then you
page,
got the rest of your branch.
you'll see a link that says Ambassador. So go ahead and click that, you can get more information there.
Alrighty.
So that is one. Trumpets are really similar, cutting to like that. I think to do something that's a little bit different, like a Goniapora would be a good one to show.
All right, coming up. Stick these frags. You really should have like a frag rack, right? I mean,
If you were trying to do this in your tank, there would be no place to just put multiples
yeah,
of these.
it'd be
in
tough
a
to kind of
good
find them put them in
spot.
rocks and stuff like that. You got to have a dedicated kind of system, though.
Yeah, the frag rack is really nice. And it's kind of tough, even though in like your main display, to have frag racks and stuff. So this.
So you said the
like-
Gani?
Yeah, either one of those Ganies is fine. So Gani's really cool. They actually have really long tentacles, but if you actually get them to close up and show their skeleton, you can kind of give a shake in the water when they come out. You can actually see that all the polyps go in. It almost looks like a little bee's hive, that kind of thing. And these guys, you don't really have to be real precise. Just cut them to a good shape, like really easy on these ones
Okay.
here.
So let's talk about why fragging is so important for our hobby.
Yes. Let me cut this one out another one.
Yeah.
All right, so here, just go bump. Like this is a fast, really easy one to cut up. This is like one of the fastest, easiest corals to cut. Like I could do 1,000 of these in an hour, easy. Just like that, the whole colony.
Bam.
Chopped up in little pieces. And these you can actually cut really, really tiny and grow out. So fragging for the hobby and the industry is the natural reef system can only sustain but for so long of us pulling corals out of the ocean. The reefs will, they do suffer from it. So the more that you can aquaculture and grow in captivity is the better for the environment, and the hobby is going to stick around. Versus being like we've already had areas shut down
Correct.
because of over collecting and it hurting the reefs, and you'll have certain countries that are shut down for periods of time because of that. So
That's true.
the more you can grow and continue to grow and frag generations in, help save the environment really.
Yep. Yeah, it's really important. And a lot of, especially the local stores are really moving towards the aquaculture and the fragging.
And it's really nice as a store and stuff too, and also if you have a store that does it, is you can get a lot of really nice coral for a cheaper price because they're growing it and not having to purchase it. So with it being aquacultured in their systems, I think it's better cost and also stuff that you can get easily.
Lights are going to sleep here.
Oh yeah.
I can go get the. Let me go. I'll give you a coral, but I'm gonna go.
Okay.
Want
Give
some
me,
zoos?
give me
This?
the Seif Astraea.
Here?
Meteor shower Seif Astraea.
Okay.
There we go. And I'll talk this one.
I'm gonna go
the
get my
lights.
phone. I'll go adjust these lights real quick.
Okay, so this is a Meteor shower Seif Astraea. Seif Astraea is actually like fully encrusting, so it's gonna grow really flat onto the rock. And that's exactly what this one has done here. So this started out as like a little tiny piece that was put here, and you can see it's encrusted and grown completely flat onto the rock that it was put on. So these are good to use on like the bigger discs if you want them to grow out further. And they're really easy to cut. You don't have to be super precise, more just getting them nice and flat and in the shape that you want the frag to start out as. So these are a good one. I might have to put more water in here in a little bit, but for now, we're good. Actually, a little bit more water. And I'm just taking water from one of our tanks. So, like I said, the water is keeping the blade cool and the coral wet while you're fragging. And I'm just gonna go ahead and cut this guy up. Like I said, this one, just cut into shape. From here, and then I'll cut it real close to the rock, so whenever you frag it down and put it on the plug, it's gonna grow really flat and not look all lumpy as it grows out, so it's pretty. Get it like real close to the coral. One more of that one. So again, a couple big ones for this one.
Big ones? Okay.
There we go. So I got these really flat. These are really thin because they're encrusting. And for the bigger ones, this way you can grow them out and they're gonna sit really flat on the plug.
Yeah.
And they're gonna look real pretty as they grow out. They're not gonna look like you just put this big chunk of coral right onto a frag plug. It's gonna grow flat like it belongs. And usually you can use a little bit less glue on there. So those you can grow out for a while, and these can go right on the little plugs.
I like how those plugs are like dark and not the
Bright white.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the darker plugs.
Dark plugs like the dark black or purple ones blend in nicely
Yeah.
versus the bright white, which are going to show algae. So there, and then this is the main piece left.
Okay.
And then so these can grow bigger, these can encrust, but these are going to just go flat onto that plug.
Jared says, Dean, put on gloves. Jess, hold my beer.
And y'all are making me wear the glasses.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
Jared, she wouldn't be wearing the glasses unless somebody said
Y'all are
something.
calling me out on it.
Wow.
Hold my beer.
Oh my god.
All right, so we can probably do like soft corals. We have like some daisy polyp type things and then zoos. So either one of those we can do and just show some soft corals.
Here's some zoos.
Okay.
Oh,
Noelle says, looking forward to talking to you guys at MACNA. So a lot
Yes.
of MACNA guys here.
We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show.
We're back to messing our
Yeah.
lobby floors up again.
Yeah.
I need a towel.
Needs how it's getting.
Okay, so with soft corals, they don't have their own skeleton. If they're growing on something, it's a rock, it's a frag plug, it's something hard, but they're not actually attached to it. Technically, you could take a razor blade and like peel these up and go through that, but that seems like a lot of work. If you have a frag thing, you're basically just cutting the rock that they're growing on and then gluing them down from there. So they're really, really easy. And if it was something where this is like a such and such type of zoo where it's like $100 per polyp, you would be taking it down to single polyps. But in general, you don't have to go that crazy with it. But some, you know, there are zoos out there that's $200 to $400 per polyp. And that's, well, just
Crazy.
crazy.
Yeah,
it's
that's
insane.
crazy.
We still got some people in with us, Rich?
We do, not a lot of questions, but
Not a lot of questions.
they're watching.
All right.
Got about 175 people with us between YouTube and Facebook.
Wow, that's awesome. Now with
So this back,
zoos,
so just kind of making them so they're going to sit flat.
you want to
like
make
that.
sure that you have eye protection for paleys, zoos.
Sure,
Come on
yeah,
now.
Yeah.
Safety first, Jess.
Safety first.
Safety first.
Okay, yes, technically, zoanthids and polythos are extremely toxic. Don't get them in your eye, don't get them in cuts, don't lick them, you know, any of that.
Listen.
They're very dangerous, so yes, you do want to do safety first. These are zoos, so they're not nearly as
Artie
dangerous.
says, give me a shout out. There's your shout out, Artie.
Hey, Artie.
Welcome to the stream. Sarah Lynch says, do you guys use any sort of coral safe glue, or is it just a super glue that you guys adhere? So we went over that a
using
little
this
bit.
here.
But
Oh, you
Dean
show
can
them.
give that plug. It's the
Good, good,
Ecotech
good.
Marine Coral Glue.
Ecotech Marine.
Yeah, so their coral glue is good.
Really good stuff.
There you go. And I got 2 more. Just throw it on there. Like I said, you can cut them down a lot smaller, make them chunkier. They're just on chunks of rock since they're soft coral, and those can go in.
Awesome. Man, this is so cool. I mean, like, who does not like fragging here? I mean, this is awesome.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think
we're
Dean's
see.
found a new calling.
Listen, this
I
might be
know,
my new
he's-
call.
He's a very good assistant over
Listen,
here. I'm
Yeah,
proud.
he's a
Great
fragging assistant.
A fragging
great
assistant.
fragging assistant.
You
Oh
can't
my
take
God.
the lead. You can be the assistant.
Oh my God.
But we have, I think, what, daisy polyps in there, and that's like the only one that's kind of a different type that we could show.
Daisy polyps
Yeah.
coming up. Can you see that? This one right here.
So these are kind of cool. Shake them up. They're gonna go all the way in.
They're gonna be
They're gone.
gone.
So they close up.
So they're a little mad.
Yeah. So these guys kind of like grow in a actually a mat onto the rock. So these actually have their own like soft structure. Now look, you can actually see with these here, I've taken them where you actually look, just take a piece off. You don't even have to cut them. And then that piece can actually just be pulled apart a little more because they do actually have their own little mat that they're growing on.
Come on now.
So
listen.
these can actually just glue down straight like that if you can get them off. If you want to, you can then also, like I can take this and cut them onto the rock. But you can actually, with the star polyps are the same way, and like these, if they grow their own thing, you can actually pull them apart. if
So you want to
to.
go ahead and put them onto some
You can
plugs?
put them on here, and I'll show you just kind of how to, if you're going to cut
Okay.
them onto the rock. But that's just one of those few that you can actually cut right with your finger. It's okay for these though, because they're soft coral. That's the last one we're doing. There's that one. So if you didn't want to peel them off, you want to keep a rock base and not have them loose like that, then I just cut the rock under where they make their own mat. And like this could completely peel off the rock if we wanted to.
It's like pretty easy.
So it's kind of cool like how different ones have such a different way of being fragged. So this one's like a little bit bigger chunk on, maybe the one on the end. We'll put that one there,
Dude, this is awesome.
just like that.
Look at that.
So you can see how quickly you honestly can cut some stuff
Dude,
down. Like
I
I can
mean,
say,
you've
in
cut-
a day, I've cut 1,000+ frags easy in a day if you're
Yeah.
just doing this like nonstop. But you know, every type of coral just has a little bit different way of doing it to kind of have the best frags made out of it.
Totally. Now, also, people might be asking, what's up with the orange glasses?
We don't actually have safety goggles here, but it looks cool. And these
These
are
are
the
the
ones,
UV glasses.
Yes, these are the ones that you see at the shows, where when you put them on and you look at the tanks at the show, or
It takes the
at your own tank,
takes the UV color out of the light,
and really pops all
and it
your
really
coral.
shows a different coloration to the corals. I don't know if you see that.
LDC Reef, no, you should not lick them.
No, don't do
don't-
anything with a zoanthid or a pally. Just don't.
I think he's just talking about the frags in general. But
Yeah,
he's
no,
being,
yeah,
he's
don't-
being funny.
Don't lick any frags. Don't lick corals. That's our PSA of the
Yeah,
day.
do not.
Do not
Do
lick
not
your corals.
get anything from a coral into your body. That's bad.
Yeah. I think that was that's a pretty good demonstration.
Yeah, I mean, it showed a lot of different types of corals. I mean, we have a few more that we could cut, but
I think that's good.
yeah.
What do you think, guys? Good?
Yeah, we're good.
We're good on that? Everyone's good with the...
Wow.
And we have now
That was
made
fantastic.
it
So
complete.
people really enjoyed that,
Dude, this
watching that demonstration.
Really incredible.
I don't think think you really can ever go anywhere else, like probably except for Waterbox Live, and see some fragging. Like,
Listen, go get you some frags.
Let alone live on Facebook and YouTube.
Listen.
that's how confident we're not gonna lose fingers. We're doing it live. We know what we're doing.
I always go back to the tank, right? I mean, the Frag 45.2 is a great tank to do this in, right? So if you already have an aquarium, you probably need a secondary aquarium to go and grow your frags out and
Right,
harvest.
and with it being shallow, that's, being shorter than a standard aquarium, that's
Yeah.
the point, is because if you are doing it for fragging, you don't need them to be super tall. And then like a frag rack, easy access, just really nice.
For sure.
Well, that was fun.
Oh my goodness.
That was fun.
That was very informational. I learned a lot with that. What about you, Dean?
Jess was a great teacher.
Yes, you were a great
Listen,
assistant.
I was a great assistant.
You glued those corals very well,
glued
very
them
proud.
perfectly.
Glued them well.
Listen.
Yeah, no, that was great to actually kind of show some varieties. And
My
stuff.
hands are all pruny.
And it's probably something that the majority of the people that were watching had never seen happen. Like,
Yeah, no, that's really all. I mean, I think it's great. It really is. Also, everybody, this weekend,
Yes.
I know there might be a storm coming.
yeah, whatever.
We're not
Doesn't matter.
concerned.
Forget about it.
Forget
You're gonna be
about
hanging out at the
it.
Swan and Dolphin.
Come down to the Dolphin Swan Resort at Disney here in Orlando, Florida for MACNA 2019.
Yep, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday the show's going on. Tons of
Mm-hmm.
great speakers, huge number of vendors. It's going to be a great show, and it's right
Good.
here in Orlando.
There's
We
like
have
a
a map of all the water boxes at our booth, and we'll be giving away a Marine 35.1.
Yes, we do. Put that out there now. Come find us as soon as you get there, because there's a map to
Yeah.
go visit all the booths.
grab
for
one of the
Waterbox,
cards from us.
and you get entered in for a Marine 35.1 being given away at the show. So
Bless
that is, and that's a plus, 35 Marine
Plus edition.
Plus.
Wow, guys, I'm telling you, look at those things. Now they are sliming up a little bit.
Right.
Looks, I see those strings. Looks like hanging off the corals.
Yes, so they're gonna get a little gross and kind of, but in a couple hours they'll kind of slough all that off.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, dipping them in
I
a
already
coral
see
dip
some of it going off
is
right now.
great. Yeah.
Wow.
So do use a coral dip ideally after you fried them to kind of rinse them
Yeah.
off and help with any bacterial stuff. And since you did just cut up their flesh, treat them to a dip.
Treat them to a dip. That's fantastic. Listen, treat them to a dip. Wow, guys, once again, Friday, MACNA starts all through the weekend. We might push the live button. We don't know. But stay tuned with us. Also, Eel Island. Dude, we got so much going
Yeah,
on.
catch
Real
it
quick
on
on
Friday.
Eel Island,
Yeah.
Brian's wondering if you can post exactly where you found that croc skull. So if you
Oh,
can throw it in the
yeah,
comments
yeah,
for
yeah,
them
yeah, for
later,
sure.
that'd be great.
Amazon.
Yeah, we'll put the link in there so you guys can check that out. Thank you so much, guys. We will see you soon.
See ya.
Thank you.